Hi, this is the Larry King, and I am live on this date. Hey Google, what's the date?
It's Friday, March 21st, 2025.
March 21st, 2025. And I am the Larry King ever since the other Larry King passed away. And hey Google, what was Larry King's name before he took on the name Larry King? It's complicated.
Lawrence Harvey Zeiger. According to Wikipedia, Larry King, born Lawrence Harvey Zeiger, November 19, 1933 to January 23, 2021, was an American television and radio host, presenter, author, and former spokesman.
So the first question you might ask is, why would you want a dog behind you on a motorcycle? Well, first of all, why ride a motorcycle? And it's kind of freedom, call of the open road, probably a little self-image, and could be even a midlife crisis. So there's all kinds of reasons you ride a motorcycle, all right? But motorcycles, riding a motorcycle is dangerous, and when you put a dog on the back, then it's danger times two. So first of all, I'm not a motorcycle guy, okay? I've had some motorcycles, I've done some riding, I toured Europe, toured the United States, so, but I'm not a biker, put it that way. Okay, let me share a little of my experience with motorcycles over the years. It turns out my first motorcycle, my dad gave me this motorcycle. I don't know where he got it from. I'm sure somebody just gave it to him. It didn't run. The compression was so low when you try and start it, it would go bub, 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 bub. I did get it started, and I did go down the alley one time, and then I had to push it back. Okay, so it might have planted a seed for motorcycles in the future. Okay, so this next slide, that's the motorcycle I bought in when I was 23. I was a college professor at a small college in Pennsylvania. I saved all my money, and I bought a 1967 Triumph Bonneville in London and toured Europe on that. I went from London down to Spain, Italy, back up to Holland, and then I shipped the bike home to Los Angeles, where I had another teaching job starting, and I partially toured the United States, period. Okay, so I mentioned motorcycles are dangerous. I did have a tragedy, a real tragedy, in Italy. I was, it's like I was trying to leave Florence. I love Florence, but in fact, on my motorcycle, there's an outside imitation of David, and I would go look at that on my bike every day, you know, quite a sight. At any rate, so I'm jinxed trying to leave Florence. The first time I try to leave, I snapped a cable, and I limped back to Florence and replaced the cable. The next time I'm planning to leave, I was staying at this pension. The next time I try to leave, I got sick, okay, so I stayed there. Finally, the third time, I am leaving, and so I'm on the Autostrada heading up to Germany, and it's the Italian version of the Autobahn, so it's a beautiful highway, everybody's going fast, and so was I. I laid down on my bike, and I'm heading home. I thought, okay, there were 3 cars on the right lane. I'm in the passing lane. I passed the first car, and as I'm passing the second car, now I realize I was completely in his blind spot, and he just changed lanes to pass the first car and knocked me into the opposing traffic, and I'm going down the road with one hand on the steering wheel, so it was bad. I did survive. Obviously, I wouldn't be here. I guess I was in shock because I kept looking down the road, and I'd go, well, at least there's no cars coming. And then it'd be zoom, and I go like, oh. Then I'd look up, and I go, well, at least there's no more cars coming. Zoom. So it turned out I got into the island between the lanes, and they have ambulances positioned on the Autostrada, which was nice. So I'm in the back of an ambulance, and they're treating mainly my legs. I had leather on, so I didn't get that much road rage except for my legs. And he's getting ready to pour some iodine on there, which we both knew was going to hurt. And he knew I was from Colorado, and he'd watched Westerns, and so as he's pouring it, he said, I should give you a bullet to chew on, you know. So at any rate, I got bandaged up. I went back to the pension, and I'm eating with the other people, and I say, you know, I don't feel so good. I go to lay down, and I just collapsed. I had really been like operating in shock or something. So I recuperated, and on I came home, okay. This next slide, this is a 1967 Honda Silverwing, and I bought that in upstate New York. I did local traveling on that. It was an antique when I bought it and when I sold it, and it was a great little bike. Okay, so in this next slide, you see I'm getting a little more serious. This is a 1978 Honda Goldwing. Which is a heck of a bike, 4 cylinders, and you can really scoot down the road. So I wanted to start traveling, but I had a dog. Okay, so what do? Well, of course, I'm thinking train the dog to be on the back. Okay, I don't know where that thought came from. It's not a smart thought, but I do want to go through my experience with the dog. Okay. So, what are the pros and cons of traveling with a dog, okay? First of all, it's fun to ride with your buddy. You always got your buddy with you. And interestingly enough, kids always wave at you when they go by, okay? Because you got the dog on the back, and so it's nice, okay? But, first of all, you can get in an accident. You don't have seat belts or airbags or anything like that, so it'd probably be maybe dead you, definitely dead dog. Okay, so you don't want that. Avoid accidents. Also, you don't want a jumper. A jumper is a dog who is going down the road and just jumps, okay? Now, my dog had never jumped. And I've had other dogs that never jump, but now I realize that even when you're driving in a car and you've got the window open and they're not a jumper, in an instant, they're a jumper. Okay, maybe they see some dogs or whatever it is and they just go out the window. They didn't even know, okay? So I'm going to show you a video of a dog jumping out on the highway. So if this is too much for you, you may want to skip ahead. But in all fairness, the dog does survive. How? To be honest with you, it's very similar to what happened to me in Italy. So let's take a look at this video. And at the end of the video, the owner of the car pulls over and this lady's running across trying to get her dog. And I have such compassion for her because think of how you would feel. Okay, here we go. All right, there's the dog. Ooh, ooh, and that silver car is pulling over. Look at him go. He's going to be sore, but he made it. Here she goes. Oh, my God. Okay, so I want to travel with the dog on the back. How do I train her? Okay, I was good with dogs. She had a lot of travel experience with me already, and I had a duffel bag. She would travel in the duffel bag, so the idea was I'd have the duffel bag behind me, she'd be in it, and off we go. Okay. Okay, so this is what I did. I brought the motorcycle out and parked it in front of my apartment building in New York City. All right. Then I bring Peaches out and I leash her up to a post right by the motorcycle. Now I'm trying to kind of condition her, getting her used to the motorcycle. So I put the bag on it and I patted it with my hand, and she stretches at the leash. She wants, you know, and but she couldn't jump, so she's whining. All right, so I'm kind of torturing her just a little bit, okay? Then I start up the motorcycle, rev it up a few times, turn it off, go over and pet her, you know, go back, start up the motorcycle, rev it up a few times, turn it off, okay? Okay, the next phase is I start up the motorcycle and I slowly leave and she's going nuts. And I go around the block and I come back, I turn off the motorcycle, I come over, give her a pet. I think I did that 3 or 4 times. Get up. So in other words, I'm leaving and you're staying. Well, she doesn't like that. Okay, so finally I just unleashed her and said sit and stay, and I go over and I just patted the bag and I said, okay. Boom, she was up there in the bag. Now, moment of truth, okay? How is she going to react to riding on the motorcycle? This was scary, I must admit. So, again, I started it up, turned it off a few times, started it up, get her used to that. Then I started out and gingerly, very slowly, I drive around the block, trying not to like turn it too much, come back to the same spot, turn it off, put down my kickstand, tell her to stay, you know. So she stays, I pet her a bit, you know, and I walk around the motorcycle, just, you stay, okay, so she's used to that, but that's what she did anyway. So what I'm saying is, what you're trained to do already with the bag, now we do on the motorcycle. So then I went around the block like 3 times, and then the next trip I went 30 miles upstate, and she, like, I considered her trained, and we were on the road. So as you can see in this picture here, where we are traveling, the bag is, she's sitting on her bag, and there's my thermos of coffee. So this was a long time ago, so that looks pretty nice. You're traveling, you got your coffee. That's the pack, which I had my camping gear in. Just a quick story. Let me see what this next slide is here. Okay, let's look at this next slide. This is camping in Arcadia National Park, and there's a story behind this. And the moral of the story is I should be a better listener. Sometimes in life, I don't listen. When I was buying peaches from a breeder in Boulder, Colorado, I'm on the phone. I tell him I want a red merle with 2 blue eyes. And he tells me, he said, Larry, he said, I got a litter of red merles. One of them has 2 blue eyes, but she's a little snippy. And she's got a little sister with 1 blue eye who's just as sweet as sugar, you know. I'm going like, no, I want 2 blue eyes. You know, I want what I want when I want it, you know. And he repeated at least twice, maybe 3 times. She's a little snippy and she's got a little sister. And I'm going, no, no, no. So he ships her out. And she was snippy, okay, which means she didn't like bite or anything, but she was snippy. So I'm coming up, I'm going to Canada on our big trip. We're going all the way up to Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. And we're going up through Massachusetts, and they're paving the road, and traffic is dead stopped. It's like 97 degrees, seemed like 100% humidity, and we're dying, just sitting in the sun, not moving. So they had paved the lane next to us, fresh tar and stuff. Well, not tar, but and traffic cones. So I just eased out between those cones and drove up to the front of the line, and there was a Massachusetts state trooper. I don't know if he had the reflector glasses on or not, but he just goes, he said, move over to the side. He said, I'll get to you later. So I pull over, and shortly he comes over, and he's telling me, listen, we're in a heat wave here. I want you to get this dog off the road, get a motel. This heat wave is very dangerous. So I just want to, just give me your license and registration. And he put his hand out into our space, and boom, she got him. Oh, he goes, oh my God. He said, you're lucky I'm not going to give you a ticket. And he didn't, but she nipped the state trooper. So she was a little snippy. That's the end of that story. Actually not. If you go to the end of this story, I had a stepdaughter at the time, and when she would bring over her friends, Snippy was not good. So I found her a home on a dairy farm upstate New York, where I said to the guy, I said, but she's a little snippy, you know. And he said, good. He said, because my father, we used to have a Doberman. And there was somebody, they came up and they said, you know, your dog bit me. And my dad asked him, well, where were you when he bit him? He said, well, I was crossing across your property. And he said, you were on my property? You know? In other words, he liked peaches because, whatever, he didn't mind that at all. So, back to the trip. So we went to, we camped here in Arcadia National Park. It turned out I made the best lobster bisque soup I've ever had in my life. There was a local fish shop there, and I bought this huge lobster they had in the case. And I'm asking them, how do you have a lobster bake or something like that? And they're saying, you just bury it in the coals. And they said, if you really want to be authentic, go down and get seaweed, wrap it in the seaweed, and then bury it with some corn, which I did. I got the corn. And so I cooked it, and I ate the lobster, and I had a lot of leftovers. So the next day, I went and bought some cream and some butter and maybe a little salt and pepper, and that was it with all that lobster. And wow, that was delicious. So as you can see in this next slide, we did get up to Canada, and I managed to get a picture of her with the flag and the bike. And so we're on our road up to Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. And one of the things about riding a motorcycle, I did have one experience where we're going up this hill along the coast, the ocean, and as we're going up, to my right are these bald eagles just kind of floating in the air about the same speed I am, and pretty soon I'm going up and I'm looking down at these bald eagles. Well, it turned out the fishermen are down there with their lobster traps, and bald eagles are part scavenger, so they were just waiting for their food, okay? But it was a beautiful sight. Okay, here's another picture of us on the road with her on the motorcycle, and once again, like you can see, it'd be pretty easy for her to jump off if she wanted to. But I'm going to show you this next slide is a real treasure for me, because I was never able to get a picture of both of us on the motorcycle because I always travel alone, and back then we didn't even have cell phones. So as we were going, and I clicked this picture, and that you can see the shadow of both of us going down the road. And if you look at Peaches, she's very intent. She's looking down the road, and I would tell people the last thing that dog wants to do is jump off that motorcycle, and you can kind of tell with that slide. Okay, so that's really the end of the story. Hopefully I'll have more. I got all kinds of crazy stories from the way I live my life, so I don't suggest anybody to follow them, but hopefully you'll find them interesting, because I really enjoy making these videos, and I'm just at the beginning of this YouTube channel, so I have 0 likes, 0 subscriptions. So when I get the first like or the first subscription, I'm going to be ecstatic, okay? So help me out if you can.